Hi everyone. This video is meant as an overview of the different languages that are used in web development. In this series, I will be covering the basic languages that are needed to create a full-featured dynamic website along with database storage. I will be doing my best to clarify what all of this means in the upcoming episodes. The first language which is typically learned when it comes to creating websites is HTML. This stands for Hypertext Markup Language. Its purpose is to tell the web browser what to display. It works with what's referred to as tags. You can have tags that indicate that you're starting a new paragraph, another one that says you want a picture, and so on. With HTML on its own, you're describing the formatting that you want, and the browser takes care of how it's displayed. Say for example you want a header, you would use a header tag, however you don't get to decide how big it's going to be, what color, and so on. These specifics are controlled by another language called CSS, which stands for Cascading Style Sheets. CSS can be used in three different ways. The first way is to include it directly inside the HTML tags to specify certain styles for specific elements. This is called inline CSS. The second way, which is considered to be a better practice, is to include a section in your HTML document where you lay out general rules for what style to apply to different tags. For example, you can decide that all paragraphs on your website will be blue and use a certain font, or you can decide that all pictures will have rounded corners. The third way, which is even better, is to create a separate file where you will be laying out those rules and then link it to your HTML document. The next language we will be covering is called JavaScript. Its purpose is to add some interactivity and animation to your website. For example, you can have a button linked to certain actions, such as modifying the page's content, displaying a dialog box, and so on. You can have things such as animated backgrounds, drag and drop features, anything you can think of in an interactive web application. Next comes PHP, which is what we call a back-end programming language. Its purpose in a nutshell is to modify your HTML content dynamically, hence dynamic websites. It runs on a server and allows to interact with a database. This means you can add certain functionalities to your website, such as user registration and login, a posting system like the one used for forums or ratings. You can allow users to save content and set preferences, and so on. It can also be used to create something like a content manager where you or other administrators can easily add content to the website through a user-friendly interface. WordPress is an example of a content manager that was coded in PHP. We will also be taking a look at MySQL, which is a database language often used alongside PHP. MySQL is a query language which allows to perform all types of operations on a database, that is, adding entries, reading from them, updating or deleting them. It's one of many dialects of SQL, which is well established when it comes to databases and has been in use since the 1970s. This was a quick overview of the different languages we will be learning. No worries if anything is still unclear, as we will be tackling each one in its own video and providing easy to understand examples and demonstrations. You will be able to follow along and get started with your first websites. Also note that modern web development often involves what's called frameworks, which add a layer on top of those basic languages. This won't be covered here, as this is an introductory series, and it's very important to learn and understand the basic languages before moving on to frameworks, so you can understand what you're doing and be able to fix any problems as they arise. Thanks for listening, and see you in the next episode, which will focus on HTML.